everybody, and welcome to the CX Live Dialogues. As we all know, designing and engineering an experience is at the forefront for most businesses in 2022, not just in the Middle East, but globally. We're living in an era now where everything is becoming digital, but we need to understand the challenges of experience design before we can engineer the digital experience for our customers. This is exactly what we will be discussing today with Kareem Monem, the Regional Managing Director of Middle East and Africa at Valtech. Welcome, Kareem.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, Kareem, obviously there's such drastic changes that are happening in the CX world at the moment, especially with the digitization that's happening. What do you see are the main challenges in the CX industry thus far?
Well, it's a very, very good question. I think that if you asked 100 people, you'll get 100 different responses to that question. But let me try to categorize it a little bit in the way I think. So the list is endless, and I think it will continue to be endless. And especially as experience now, if we think about it in the context, is becoming almost an extension of the value of customers. What do I mean by that? Well, I want to choose something that is a sustainable option. So therefore, my first principle is I'm going to go and work with a company or choose to engage with a company that meets my principles. And then the experience of that becomes the secondary factor. But that can get quite deep and philosophical. But I think if I focus on some of the key components, and if you break down true customer experience, I think you touch on areas such as the art of the human. So the psychology of what is experience. The strategy of outcome. Now, what do I mean is around, what is the driver for delivering good experience? And then how do you apply an ROI metric, whether that's financial, whether that's measurements, or whether that's future investments? What is the depth of good customer experience? Okay. And what do I mean by that? Customer centricity is actually far more important in terms of longevity of relationship rather than just good experience, because an experience can be a throwaway. But centricity sits at the core of everything you do as a company. So your values are wrapped around your customer. Of course, technology. Technology is a fundamental enabler. And let's never forget data. Measure and to continually evolve the outcomes, be that analytics, BI, business intelligence, and then effectively outcomes as well. But I do believe that it has to start at the strategy level. And any company can build a good experience, okay? But I don't think many build their culture around customer centricity. And you can look at some great examples in the world where I would actually say a lot of what's called digital first companies. I could throw out, we all know the Netflixes, the Amazons and everybody. I think when I engage with them, I feel more at the control of the relationship than I feel that they are controlling the relationship with me. So it's more, I think they built their products around me rather than built me around their product rather than their product around me. So I feel a little bit more engaged and a bit more understood. So I see those, and maybe just one further point. I think, also it's important to have that true understanding of your customer, both the past, the present, and the future. And that's enabled through the likes of, artificial intelligence, machine learning. These areas really help you define the definition of what the future of your customer is and how to define an experience for them. But you also have to be very clear on your value proposition as an organization. You should be driving your employees to be behind the culture of that experience. If you provide employees a good experience, the likelihood is you're going to be providing your customer a good experience as well. And to ensure that your back office setup, which includes your technology, your operations, your processes, and everything else, is designed to support that front-end commitment, the promise you're making to your customer as well. So it's not just about touch points, it's also about the organization that you've created that's lived behind that. And then once all of that's set up, just make sure you keep disrupting yourself, because once you've done it, you're already too late and you have to start again. And you've got to keep going in that cycle of improvements and testing and learning, failing and, and learning and standing up and getting it right and all these kind of things. So it's a never ending cycle of a digital world today.
That's very true, Kareem. And the more we talk to the industry, I think one thing we're realizing is that everybody's on that journey to make sure that they're innovating constantly, and they're constantly drawing out an internal performance matrix by which they can measure all the changes and all the new strategy developments that they are undertaking. Now, Obviously everything, as you even pointed out right now, with AI, with machine learning, digitization and digital transformation is the centerpiece of that entire journey. How have you seen customer experiences and customer services digitize and transform in today's day and age?
I think if I was to sum it up in maybe 3 words: faster than ever. I have never, in my very young life that I have, seen things move at the pace it has. And I think it's fair to say the impact that COVID has had on us, on every aspect of our life, from a corporate level to a personal level, has forced a completely rewiring of how things are done, how we appreciate the experience of the customer, how the customer needs to reach you, feel empowered, engaged, personalized, and loved through any channel they wish to choose. And sometimes you don't choose, you're forced to, as we were in COVID. I mean, we were all locked in our houses, ordering stuff online, and so many companies in the region specifically who didn't really appreciate the importance of digitalizing their service had to catch up with everybody else that already had. And so therefore it was unprecedented and unbelievable. And actually what I loved about that period, which is a bit of a strange phrase, but crisis management is the best form of management you can have, because it forces you to make decisions without having to go through reams and reams of, do we all agree? Yes, no, let's wait. Let's have another meeting. Let's meet about a meeting. Let's plan a meeting to have a meeting to have a meeting. 6 weeks later, a decision might be made. Oh, someone's sick, so we'll wait for the next week to meet them. No, crisis management forces you to do things, putting the customer first, putting your people first. So it drives out efficiencies and really strips out, what operational processes you don't need. So I think, technology intensity has changed that experience and forced companies to think differently and invest differently as well. And I know a term that we always hear is convenience. We love convenience because we are at core lazy. I'm very lazy for sure. Anyway, so I will extrapolate that to mean we're all lazy. But I think it goes beyond that. And I think you can kind of put expectation is also what's, really driving and reforming experience and service together. So now, everything has to seamlessly integrate. You need to understand as a brand, my life, what I do, how I live my life. I signal in everything I do digitally from my phone or online. I'm always signaling what I want, how I want to be treated. It's for you to gather that data, to contextualize it, to put it all together and to come back with propositions and ways of engaging and models that give me an incentive to really want to engage with your brand and to do so through digital means.
Certainly. And you mentioned the word convenience, Kareem, which is actually at the heart of most customer engagements and customer experiences that are being designed right now. Because at the end of the day, most companies are looking at leveraging empathy, ensuring that they're listening to the customer. And we're seeing a lot of new models come in, especially the self-service models and different technology adoptions to make sure that the seamless omni-channel experience that they are trying to create is available for their customers, no matter which way they try to reach them. Given that context, what would you say is the top technology enabler which is driving this transformation we are seeing?
Again, it's a really great question. And I would probably split the answer into two, because I look at it at the front end, because there's experience technology, which is the layer between me and the technology that you have built as a brand that I will engage with. And I'm going to say that the obvious one is this continuous drive towards mobile first. Okay, so mobile first is something which has become absolute commonplace. It's an absolute given in everything we understand, and we know for the next at least 5 to 10 years the importance of being mobile and having access to engagement models is really important. But voice is currently, in my opinion, the least appreciated and the most important aspect, because there's no discrimination in voice. If we think about this, my voice is the interactive layer between me and my technology, and my voice it doesn't require me to type. It doesn't require me to use a particular language. whether I have, for example, a disability or an inability to use a piece of technology, because whether it's because of age, or being too old or too young, or because physically I can't do something, my voice for the majority of people is there. Okay, so I think that is an area that's becoming more and more important, and the fact that a lot of the time our voice is recorded, whether we like it or not, as well, and we all know that Google, Facebook, they're all listening, and listening for what I believe to be good, not for bad, is really going to be the top enabler from a human perspective over the next 3 to 5 years. But in the back end, definitely going back to machine learning and artificial intelligence, and how that is going to be used to predict, to pivot, and to drive, transformation that we're seeing. I think that's at the heart of everything. And still to today, that is at its infancy. It really is.
Certainly. And again, coming back to what you just said about the digital pivot and the fact that AI and machine learning are becoming so integral to the entire experiences that we are going to craft, Valtech is obviously at the forefront of enabling organizations create this, entire, mesmerizing digital experience. Can you share with us some examples of companies or sectors you have assisted with engineering these digital experiences? And also, what impact have they observed on the overall business, given that most of these organizations, when they invest, the core matrix that they're evaluating on is the ROI?
Yeah, no, it's again, I'm very happy to. And ask me about my company, I'll talk all day about that. And I think there's some great examples. So just to give you an idea, I mean, Valtech, as a company of about 5,000 people globally, about 50 offices or so, we're probably the largest independent digital agency across the world right now. And we operate in the areas such as mobility, retail, healthcare, manufacturing, financial services, public sector, and travel and hospitality. But out of those, because there's quite a long list, I think I would definitely highlight what we've done in the automotive or mobility area. We work with some great companies, and I'm talking the likes of Volkswagen Group, BMW, Audi, and Toyota, where we've been working with them through a joint venture model to transform everything onto what we're calling a connective platform for the automotive companies. And that includes connected services. So me as a person that's driving a car, predictive maintenance, monitoring my driving behavior, feeding all that data back, not just to the dealership or to the actual company itself to understand when does my car need to be taken in for a service or fix, but also driving patterns that go back to insurers, to enable insurers to remodel my insurance costs based on my actual driving behavior, rather than just looking at averages across statistics. We worked with the dealership model as well, and how to enable a more connected dealership model that allows that dealership experience to start even before you decided to buy that car. You are signaling through your behavior online, I am interested in either buying and changing the car that I have right now. And through some of the searches and some of the behaviors you're signaling online, how we start to nurture that journey to help you make qualified decisions, to validate those decisions through your peers. So online, a lot of us have first line, second line, and third line influencers that we don't always realize are influencing our decisions. And those are normally peers, family members, friends, people that we've chosen to connect with online. And then it takes me through a journey that I decide to either buy online. A large proportion of us, by the way, do actually buy cars without test driving it, or making a trip into a branch and going to see a showroom to go and have that. And we've even worked with the likes of Audi to do the next generation showrooms as well, where actually you walk into a fully digitalized showroom with no physical car to test drive, but you digitally design your car, and then you have a VR experience of the car that you've designed yourself, taking it from test to purchase, all in one experience. So that's one of the real big, I would say, industries and transformational journeys that we've helped with these automotive companies.
That's an amazing case study that you've just cited. And obviously, we've seen the importance of disruption in some of these, legacy sectors, especially in the automobile sector, where test drives and all that was so commonplace. But during the pandemic, that was absolutely not a choice with most businesses. Now, last but not the least, how does Valtech distinguish itself from other players in the marketplace, Kareem?
Yeah, again, we've got a couple of let's say mantras we live by, and one that we love to talk about, which is called transform by doing. Okay, we genuinely believe in outcome-driven engagements. Okay, and so you'll hear a lot. Everyone's got some kind of core principles of what they do and everything else. But I love to describe Valtech as that company that today in the world that is no longer digitalizing, that's done. We're all digitalized. It's the next movement towards from being a physical kind of world into that real digital living space, which we talk about the metaverse, the meta world, and how you kind of blend physical and digital together. So as we move into the unknown, we're that partner that takes you to the top of the cliff that says, let's jump. With the parachute's not been built yet, but we know by the time we land, we're going to find our feet and we're going to have that parachute that we're going to pull, and it's going to be there so we land safely. So we really have quite a brave model of how we get involved in some of the most challenging kind of digital and experience-led challenges across the world. And we do that through kind of a unique combination of we have a lot of value-driven people within our company. The principles of hiring, I think, is everything in that journey of onboarding into a company. So as we go through our process of identifying talent, we make sure people align, their intrinsic values are aligned with ours, and that passion for technology and experience has to be at the forefront. And that means that we are really a people, we value the people that we have. We are experiential in our mindset and the way we work, and we are value driven at the same time. So we do want to measure output and ensure that the return on investment for customers, is seen, it's felt, and they're happy to keep reinvesting with us along that journey, knowing the transformation never ends.
That's so true. Sounds wonderful, Kareem. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to hearing many more success stories that you can share with the audience at the CX Live show shortly. And obviously, hearing much more and being able to see your tech demos on site. So thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with the 2022.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.